Hey everyone, it's me again, and honestly, I just wanted to get on here today and talk about prudence. Now, prudence can best be explained by talking about kind of its, I guess you could say, foil, which is rational thought, right? But rational thought in itself is not enough um to make an action worth doing or good as we would commonly think of it, right? Because situations vary. You're not gonna what's correct in one situation may not be correct in another situation, and prudence helps to put um rational thought or decisions under scrutiny. And typically speaking, it's what's called an inductive process. So something like that, um, which is, as I said, so based in experience, brothers. Yes. um, sort of requires that um, you know, sort of look back at other similar situations and draw conclusions from that. Um, I mean, at the point of where you have enough knowledge, or if it's like a mechanistic sort of thing, like if you know because of Newton's third law or whatever um that big wrecking ball is gonna crash into that tower and it's gonna break, well then that's deduction. That's not induction. But typically in moral scenarios, yeah, it's based around induction. Um and people that can sort of know what thing to do in specific situations. um I consider that prudence. Not, it's sort of like, and this is kind of what Aristotle says, it's like a fusion of your rational thought and your action or experience. In that way, I think it sort of blurs the line between deduction and induction, because you may have parts of both, but it's also kind of a catch 22, because even if it does have parts of both, I think that primarily it's still an inductive process. And of course, I've talked about this before, but the problem with induction is that there are no guarantees that inductive processes are bound to happen like deductive processes are, because deductive processes by definition follow one from the other in a logical pattern or in a logical line. So in other words, things are become necessary rather than contingent, rather than relying on things which are unreliable, like consistent human behavior. Um But nonetheless, it's important, even if it is like that, even if it is a sort of catch-22, because you can't have prudence unless you learn the various outcomes of situations. Of it's like a trial and error test in life. And um in that sense, and I know this is gonna be unpopular because it's just as much as boomers don't like us and criticize us, we tend to do the same thing to boomers, and rightly so. I'm not saying that a lot of that criticism isn't really warranted on both sides, but um I do think that, especially in old age, prudence eventually transforms into what we would call wisdom, sort of these broadly applicable generalizations that you hear from old people, basically. And it's exactly because of the inductive quality of prudence, where something happens so many times and you start to say, oh well, I should do this and I shouldn't do this in this situation, and you know what I mean. And interestingly, at least in my experience, I don't know about you all, but that sort of practical knowledge, that prudence, has very little to do with formal education. And in some ways, I think it's better because, of course, education, regardless of what your political beliefs may be, generally teaches you to be more like calculating in your decision making and critical thinking and stuff like that. But the weird thing is that I kind of think that's what differentiates prudence from wisdom, because with prudence, especially if you're young, you still might have to think about things a lot. Like you're so anxious because you've never seen these things before. But wisdom is kind of like a cheat code in the sense where you can be fairly certain, again, not 100%, but you can be fairly certain that things will turn out this way. And you just know, right? You don't even have to think about it that much. There is no deliberation, you just do it. And in that way, I think boomers are right, guys, and boomers are valuable friends and people that you can learn from. Now, of course, boomers tend to be stuck in their ways, but still, lots of them are wise and lots of them are prudent. And while I don't think, age should be the end all be all of determining wisdom, for sure, I still believe that it's valuable. And the funny thing of that is, whether rich or poor, or intelligent or not intelligent, we all have access to that. Because regardless of how our lives are, we all live and we all experience things, good and bad. And, if we have a chance to learn it from others early, we should do that. And specifically in relation to my parents, I can say that almost everything that they told me I was doing wrong in my life ended up being wrong, and they were in fact right. But some people, regardless of age, never learn that. They never learn that at all. And of course, you have to take it on a case by case basis. This is just what I've generally observed. Alright, guys. See you. Thank you for listening to my thoughts on prudence.